Hello, everyone. We're back. It's another episode of the After Smokes podcast. Boys, how's your week going?
It's good.
Yeah, good, man. I bought vitamins and
Yeah.
new shoes, so I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have moments where I'm like, I'm so happy. My life is awesome. Everything's great. And then just like out of nowhere, now all of a sudden my marriage is in the fucking toilet.
Well, what happens is you start taking care of yourself for a little bit, and you
Yeah.
go, this is great.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks have passed, and they go, it's about us, though.
Yeah.
And you go, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things were going so good.
I
I made
mean-
a bunch of money.
You look great. This is the first time
Really?
in a while that I'm like, yeah, I don't know why I haven't complimented you yet. Yeah, you look good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike looked kind of sexy when he was pulling up today.
Yeah, he looked sexy when I saw him. I didn't know it was him. I thought it was just some sexy guy. And then, yeah,
Okay.
I poked your back because I was going to hit on you.
He's
and then-
got that I'm about to murder my family aura. You know when white guys are about to kill their families.
Yeah.
They get extra sexy.
I have been doing more cardio.
Yeah.
But it was weird. I had such a good week. Even on Saturday, my wife was like, this is like the happiest I've ever seen you. And then we won little stupid fight Monday night, and then everything is just, like I said, in the toilet. Patreon.com/outforsmokes to find out why my marriage is in the fucking toilet.
$5 a month.
$5 a month, you get to hear all the details of my marriage and family life, okay? Every single one, every single detail. But that's not what we're talking about today. It is good to be here, though. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah.
What up, crew?
You know? It's just, it's tough. There's no summer camp this week.
No.
I got my kid all day. I don't know how to discipline him. He's like starting to be bad, actually bad.
What do you mean by actually bad?
Throwing toys at my head.
No.
Yeah.
And why
Smacking
so?
me in the face.
Wow.
Cursing.
No.
Saying fuck.
He's like,
curse in the first.
he's like, Daddy, I learned this from watching the Israeli prison guards.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been sticking things in your ass.
Been sticking things in my ass.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a shame.
I'm like, who gave you I-24? We don't even have that on this TV.
Yeah. Now,
What'd your grandmother say?
with Deb, same thing. Throwing
that?
stuff at her head, cursing at her.
Throwing stuff at my head. Yeah.
No, it's just-
No, it's fine. No, it's good, but it's just, it's like, it is what it is. It's just stupid shit.
How old is he? He's 4?
He's 3.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know how to discipline him,
Yeah.
because now I have to discipline him. And then what do you do?
Yeah, how do you discipline something you can't smack?
I try. And he's always smacking me in the face.
I've never really had to
Last night-
discipline anybody, you know?
Last night we were taking the train home, and I said, I put him. He was on my shoulders. He started hitting me in the face. I turned him down. I started walking away, and he went, ah.
Yeah.
So I said, so now I don't know if it's too much or it's too.
Sure.
you
If
know,
he goes, yeah,
but-
my dad used to pretend he was leaving me.
And it's like, and I was talking to my mom today about this, and I go, yeah, like no matter what you do, your kid's gonna be crying to a therapist in 20 years about how you brutalize them. you know.
Do you try to explain to him, like, that is something I have done, and I think I've been a little too harsh sometimes. Where if a kid is acting up, I explain to them in a way that's like, you look like an asshole. This isn't cool. It's not a good look.
I don't think he's old enough to understand.
To care,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
He looks like a loser.
But he smacked his mother in the face today.
No.
So I said, you don't do that to your mother.
Yeah.
And then I gave him a little time out. And then she like went in like 2 minutes later and she goes, I know it's confusing when people yell, right? But then I wanted to be like, well, what are you doing? We're supposed to be punishing him.
Sure.
You know? Anyway, whatever. Patreon.com/outforsmokes will get all into my fucked up home life.
Yeah, your son smacked his mother and you disciplined him because you were jealous of him.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, that's my job in a sexual way. You know? Yeah, he choked his mother. Anyway, all right. So we got some stuff to get into. Also, by the way, we do have some T-shirts available. Sean I did put another order in. If you want the lovely 2024 Out for Smoke shirt, Sean is modeling it right now. Look at those beautiful.
The best shirt we've done so far.
Look at those beautiful colors. Best shirt we've done so far. Found an old email of a guy complaining about last year's shirt, that he hated the design, hated the color, but he was going to buy one anyway.
Wow.
I just wrote back, okay, man.
Please send address.
Yeah. So we are kind of getting to that point where our audience is growing, and we are going to start treating some of you like shit inadvertently. Not our intention, but there's just too many of you. And then you can make YouTube videos about how we suck. You could start a YouTube channel and call it The Downfall of
Dude, I hope there is like a 5-hour YouTube documentary about Mike Racine's downfall. Because you've never been high enough up to have a downfall yet.
No. Yeah, so, good luck. Good luck with all that. All right, so what do you guys want to get into? There's some stuff going on.
It's week 2 of Israeli Rapegate.
Oh, yeah, we got the video footage now.
Right. We talked about last week. The Israelis were raping prisoners so bad that they were having rectum injuries and going to the hospital. And then a video leaked of Israeli guards grabbing a detainee, Palestinian detainee, and circling, several of them put their shields around him to block off the view. And you see one of them raping him on camera. And that's on Twitter. But where you won't see it is in the fucking New York Times, on Drudge Report, on the New York Post. You won't see it in the Washington Post. Won't see it in the LA Times. Won't see it in the Economist.
Right.
Democracy Now! Has it, but
it would be weird for TMZ to post it, though. I think if it had the TMZ logo, if it was like that TMZ noise, that would be odd.
Now, do you think there's anybody who works the New York Times who goes because they choose what they report on?
Yeah.
So there's people who
well, you got to get it through an editor, but yeah, or if you're a journalist. Yeah.
So surely there's people that work at the New York Times and they go, "Hey, we got to report on this Israeli rape stuff."
And then 5 guys with shields cover them, and that reporter gets raped in the ass. Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, they haven't been a serious news source in 15 years. The New York Times. How long since no one's taken them seriously? Well, the WMDs thing was them, right?
Yeah, Judith Miller.
And so that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
But now it's everybody rolls their eyes at the New York Times, right? No, people still take it seriously.
No, I mean, I don't. It depends on who you're. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, most liberal-minded Democrat voters you meet will take the New York Times pretty seriously.
Oh yeah.
And they still do have great journalists working for them, but it's a propaganda rag.
Yeah.
That exists to cover up Israeli rape.
And can I just say real quick, the Daily News is also a propaganda rag too, because that's you would think that that's more objective, it's local news, but the paper itself is very small. I read one the other day because we're getting ready for the show, and there's a city with 8 million people in it, right?
Yeah.
And you go what stories are they choosing to report on? And it's always somebody in the projects who killed who killed somebody who also had a criminal record.
Yeah.
There was this story that I read, and it was it was talking about this guy that got killed, and actually his brother was killed in 2009, and his family was grieving a loss of and the last sentence of the article was about how the guy had a criminal record.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though the guy was a father and
yeah.
Yeah,
it's fucked up.
And it's with the 30 pages that you get to report on stuff in the city, you can create any narrative that you want.
Sure.
And the narrative that you're creating is New York City is full of people in the projects killing each other. When really that only happens once a week.
Yeah, and in the projects. Well, did you see just yesterday, a guy in the Bronx walked into a laundromat and stabbed 2 people?
No.
And I was just reading it before we went on, and I'm like, oh, that's terrible. And then you read it, and it's this happened at 2:30 a.m., and you're just what the fuck? Well, who cares? It's 2:30, a guy gets stabbed. Why are you in a laundromat at 2:30 in the morning?
Right.
And so, yeah.
Right.
I think we've gotten to the point in this city where it's a time thing. It's just come on, what are we doing? It's midnight, go crazy. This city's heard enough.
Sure.
Your Honor, it was 2:30 a.m.
Yeah, it was 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're allowed to stab then.
But wasn't there a thing on Israeli news where it said it was is it okay to rape detainees? And 47% of them said yes.
They had a poll.
Yeah. They voted should Andy Kaufman be on SNL still?
Yeah.
Should we continue doing
we should
this?
play Tim Waltz on SNL. Should it be Martin Short or Yeah.
I love that poll. I love that people clicked on that poll and answered yes.
Yeah.
That it is okay.
Put in their information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then voted twice, people who have different emails, their AOL account, their Hotmail account.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Israeli Idol.
Well, that's the problem. Everyone who voted no was this is going to make us look bad. So they were the ones that voted twice. So it was really 17% of the people are actually anti-R word.
Yeah. Max Granger on Twitter, he has this report from Ibrahim Salim. He survived 8 months in an Israeli torture camp. He has his testimony, and one of his testimonies is most of the prisoners come out with rectum injuries.
Mm-hmm.
These Israelis, or these Palestinians, they just can't stop putting things up their ass.
Yeah.
And raping these male prisoners.
Yeah.
And Candace Owens and others have pointed out the real crime is the widespread homosexuality of the Israeli military.
Yeah.
Which is why Ben Shapiro won't talk about it.
Right.
They'll defend the genocide, but
yeah,
once there's a bunch of homo thugs in the IDF, the right wing gets a little silent. All those Israel supporters get a little uncomfortable.
Ben Shapiro's like, so guys, sexuality is a spectrum, okay? And some people are born straight, and some people are like on different parts of the Kinsey scale. And they want to rape their prisoners. It's not gay to rape your prisoners.
You guys ever
It's not gay to stick a fire extinguisher up a guy's ass and turn it on.
I kissed a boy once.
Dude, Ben Shapiro going gay because this story's confusing him.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. He's defending the Kinsey scale.
Yeah. I'll sit on something right now.
Oh, damn. I actually have a butcher box up my ass right now. An entire box full of meat.
Yeah.
You guys ever see that show Snowfall on FX?
No.
It's pretty good, but I was just thinking, so there's this scene where they get robbed of their drugs by some guy, and then they go and get some tough guy who's out of prison to rob back the guy who robbed them, and he does, and then he starts raping the guy.
No.
Okay.
And then he just takes their drugs and doesn't give it back to them.
Okay.
But I was just thinking,
Now, what's the lesson there? You can't make deals with the devil, I guess.
The lesson is he just got promoted to brigadier general in the IDF.
Yeah. By the way, it's ofsshirts@gmail.com if you want a t-shirt. Okay, send me an email and I will send you the shirt right away. Yeah, thanks to everybody who came out in Chicago. That show was a lot of fun, and I want to thank you guys who bought tickets and bought shirts. And I want to thank that lovely Jewish couple that I met that introduced themselves. They bought 3 t-shirts. So how could I be an anti-Semite if Jewish people are buying my t-shirts?
You ever think maybe Jewish people should be thanking us for not being anti-Semites?
Yeah.
Because you get called an anti-Semite anyways.
Right.
And all my people in the replies are encouraging me to be an anti-Semite.
And that's the thing. It looks fun.
It looks like they're having a great time. Jake Shields looks like he's doing awesome.
Awesome, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Who's that guy who tagged Ben Shapiro and said, "Hey Ben, any comment about your faggot soldiers raping Palestinians in the ass?"
Yeah, what did he say?
I mean, they look like they're having a great time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But no,
But I hold on. I don't do the JQ stuff.
Right.
And
Well,
nobody
can't.
thanks you.
But you meet one nice Jewish guy and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I love you and everything you stand for.
Oh yeah.
And can I pose for a photo with your wife?
You asked to pose with
No. But then
wives.
we did. We took a photo, and they were very nice people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's I don't know. It's just it's you know what's in your heart. I don't have it in me to hate Jews.
No, I'm not at all. But you get the accusation anyways.
Right.
It's like if you get accused of cheating and you're not cheating.
Right.
You're almost like, well, I should be cheating, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
But I guess you have to take the moral victory.
Damn. What's it like to get accused of cheating and you're not cheating?
Anyway.
Yeah, but no, I don't really. I don't know. I guess I don't really buy into that. I don't think that the anti-Semite stuff. I just go all right, whatever. Think whatever you want. It doesn't affect me at all.
No, I mean it's an insane worldview.
Yeah.
But well, people will just come into my replies with all sorts of stuff. trying to push me down a dark pathway that I'm not going to go down.
That's such a funny way to describe it.
Dude, it is like...
He thinks they're like it's the Sith or
It
something.
is like
It's the ring of power.
Yeah. This guy,
Sean's
just like, it's like bots, and he's like, they tempt me. Like he really thinks he'll be like the most powerful evil guy.
Sean,
He just committed. He thinks he'll be like Jafar levels of badass.
Dude, remember in American Beauty when the guy has the Nazi plate? Sean just has a Nazi plate in his cabinet, and one night he just really wants to eat macaroni and cheese off of it.
Yeah.
He's like, it calls to me. I could use this. He's like, guys, what if we took our show in a different direction? We could be so powerful. We could triple our Patreon.
Yeah, I mean, it is like Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are other conspiracy theories the socialists won't tell you about.
Sean, no.
No, you guys, I've been looking at the last names of the boards of directors of various banks and Fortune 500 companies for the last 3 hours. And
Sean's like, look at this. It's the census from Germany in 1936.
Yeah.
They can change the internet, but they can't change this.
You were the chosen one.
yeah,
You hear that? It's
the
like an
hell is
organ
that?
playing right
is
now.
that going to come through on the mics?
Well, I don't care if it does. There's an organ playing right now. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but this studio we record in, they've recorded like famous records in the other rooms.
Really? Oh, yeah. I guess
Yeah,
that
like
is
these
true.
posters aren't here just cuz. Like Lorde recorded an album here, I guess. This doesn't matter at all, but I'm just explaining why there's an organ playing now, if anybody hears it.
Like in the-
That's still not really acceptable, though.
I think organs are allowed to be in the background of stuff.
No, they're not.
We
Have
just
some
ride the wave
standards.
of the organ. You ride the wave of it, and then it sounds like a Bill Hicks album or something.
Have some
Rant in E
standards.
minor. We're fine.
They're going to complain. They're going to
Oh, they
turn off
will?
the episode.
Okay.
Have you ever listened to a podcast and an organ?
Sometime, like a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to a podcast and someone's dog starts barking?
Oh yeah.
You go, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's happened to me a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I would record with Saint Germain all the time,
Yeah.
his dogs bark. Yeah.
He would bark like a dog.
I'm just imagining, okay, there's a Lorde album, and you get to one of the tracks, and like very faintly in the background, you can hear Mike Recine going, I told you I'm taking the fucking dog back from New Jersey this weekend. You knew I was doing it.
They're like, that's genius. I love how you put that middle-aged Italian man. I become a celebrity. It'd be kind of fun. Hey, are you guys listening? Just a little side note. You're listening to Chapel Roan at all?
I have been actually. Yeah.
She's pretty good, huh?
Oh, she's fantastic. Yeah, I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's super good. You listen to her at all?
No, I tried Charlie XCX. Wasn't for me.
I don't know if I've tried her, but Chapel Roan will hit you, man.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
She only has one, full album.
What is that? Let me find out what that
Yeah,
is.
there's like an old organ.
I guess we're taking a break.
No, we don't need to take a break. I don't think this is affecting the podcast like Mike thinks.
Well,
There's an organ being played like a Goosebumps
Yeah, but they're not
episode.
in the lobby.
Oh, they're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Oh, we asked them to stop and then they kept playing.
well, do we want to see if it comes through on the recording?
No, it's definitely come through on the recording.
Okay. Yeah, but when a preacher talks, there'll be an organ playing behind him. You still let the spirit hit you,
Right.
You still get what he's saying. It's not that distracting. It adds to it, I think.
Yeah, I should start an anti-Semitism rant while the organ is going.
I am ready to snap on somebody this week. I'm ready to just.
What happened to your voice just there?
I'm ready to stand my ground.
Oh, dude, yeah. I was walking down the street, and sometimes homeless guys will they'll cuck you a little, where they'll get real close to you to see how you react.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Get your stinky ass away from me!" That's what I said, and he just kept walking. But he smelled and he tested me out. I hate when they do these things.
Yeah.
They lunge at you. They think it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cause I'm tinier than a lot of guys. They think they can lunge at me and walk away.
Are you?
I'm tinier than most guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I'm taller than you doesn't mean I'm tall.
Sure, that's
yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy how everyone in New York can smell homeless people and still none of them vote Republican. Like, that's a free Republican ad, is every time you smell a homeless person on the subway.
Well, what would they do, though? I mean, to the homeless people, you know? Republicans, they wouldn't do anything.
Put them in prison.
Yeah. Which is funny because, like, that's the thing, right? They're going to arrest homeless people and make them do prison labor. But, like, imagine if your workforce was a bunch of homeless people. That'd be kind of tough. There was a guy when I worked at Got Junk. He was like whatever the step above homeless is. Mm-hmm. He was like literally one notch above homeless, and he would come in. He would work for the temp agency. He would come in from Coney Island because he lived in the projects in Coney Island, and he would just start drinking beer at like 8 o'clock in the morning. But he was actually like a pretty good worker. Like, he had like some energy. His name was Glenn, and he had like no front teeth.
Nice.
Yeah. And he would just like go in and be like, "Hey, how's it going, Mike?" And yeah,
I've worked with a few guys in my life where it felt like they got paid in beer.
Yeah.
Like, they show up and it's like, I don't think you're getting paid at the end of any of this. It's just you're allowed to be here and drink.
Yeah. He had a wife too, which was kind of interesting. He was like a nice guy. There was just like a severe alcoholic that made $7 an hour. Which brings me to another point. Another reason I want to plug the Patreon is because we are going to talk about what it means to be a winner over on Patreon. We need to rethink what it means to be a winner, and I consider you guys winners.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I'm proud of who we are and what we're doing. Anyway,
do you want to hear
else
about Democracy Now! And the Israeli rape prisons?
Yes.
Oh, there's more?
Yeah, it's a Democracy Now! Article. Israel accused of running...
he's just getting started.
Yeah.
Israel accused...
I brought an article with me. I'm like, close the laptop.
Israel accused of running torture camps as video emerges of soldiers raping Palestinian prisoner. The Israeli human rights group B'Salam, I have no idea, has published a major new report documenting how the Israeli prison system has become a network of torture camps, quote, where physical, psychological, and sexual abuse of Palestinian prisoners is normalized and routine. The report, titled Welcome to Hell, collects the testimony of 55 Palestinians who were detained by Israeli authorities since October 7th, later released almost all without charges. This comes as a group of UN experts condemn the widespread torture of Palestinians, and as Israel's Channel 12 News aired shocking footage of Israeli soldiers sexually abusing a prisoner at the said Timan army base, where thousands of detainees from Gaza are held. The report says abuse in the Israeli prisons is, quote, systemic, ongoing, and state-sanctioned. That's the quote.
And now the average American hears that and they go, well, they're prisoners, they're detainees, they probably did something.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that many of these people are just rounded up and thrown in there for no reason.
Yeah, it's just thousands of Palestinians with no charges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really every day we go, October 7th was good.
You know, not the most fucked up thing. Well, they had on the Israeli news, they interviewed one of the guards who was raping the prisoner in the video to get like his side of the story.
Great.
They were posting this on Twitter.
They did a split screen with Norman Finkelstein. I left him because I liked it.
But yeah, and yeah, they did a
does anything. Really?
Yeah, and they did a poll, and most Israelis support raping Palestinian prisoners.
Yeah.
And they will actually have January 6th for their right to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but the fucked up thing is from the Democracy Now!
What type of patriotism? Like, how do they skew that into, like, we're just patriots?
Yeah.
A bunch of psychos.
Well, I saw some interview where it's like they interviewed the wife of a soldier who was raping somebody, and the wife goes like, this man's a murderer. I don't care about his ass. What the fuck? She's like defending her husband. She goes, he's a terrorist. I don't care about his ass. It's like, sickos.
Yeah.
You're a sick country.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Any comment, Amy Schumer, about these sickos that you love?
Yeah.
People go, oh, you go to Israel and they're nice to you. I can't even imagine them being nice to you.
No. No. Very evil people.
Yeah. And then now, does it bother you that? Well, do you have any more to say about the?
Oh, there's just like apparently according to this report, they interviewed this guy Faraz Hassan. He's an official in the Palestinian Authority's Minister of Youth and Sports, and he describes not only being beaten by prison guards while in detention, but hearing that their brutal attack was being live streamed for Ithamar Ben-Gvir, who's the Minister of National Security for Israel, to watch. Mm-hmm. So he says that, I'll quote from him. On November 9th, 2023, 2 prison forces, the district unit and the initial response force, came into cell 14 we were in on wing 28. We were 10 Palestinians in the cell. The forces came in massed and beat us for 50 minutes. They laughed while they hit us and live streamed it all. I understand Hebrew, and I heard one say, "We're live streaming for Ben-Gvir," directly to Ben-Gvir. They beat us in various ways with their hands, feet, and then brought in police dogs after they tied our hands behind our back and blindfolded us. So they were like, live streaming to the fucking Israeli government while they were kicking the shit out of these prisoners.
Well, I mean, also you could just put like a Ring camera where you know, and you just check your phone. Oh, it went off. Oh, and it's like everybody has a camera now.
Yeah.
So it's even easier than you'd think to just watch your prisoners get tortured casually. Mm-hmm. Damn. So what do we do?
Right.
Like what happens? Okay, so like Is there another, like both these candidates right now, it's like they're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
It just seems like this is all written.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we do? We're doing our job, right? This is all we can do, I guess.
Podcast?
Yeah, what else can we do?
In terms of, okay.
We do.
Somebody in my replies has a suggestion. He quotes a tweet and he says, about 5 to 8 years into the JQ stuff, I went through a phase of not wanting it to be true. You test and retest. You're thinking
stuff? The what stuff?
The JQ stuff.
What is JQ? The Jewish question?
Yes.
That's what that means?
After 5 to 8 years into the JQ stuff, I went through a phase of not wanting it to be true. You test and retest your thinking due to social and educational thinking, but you can't go back. Every new discovery is another nail in the coffin of the older thinking, and then you get angry.
These guys.
I'm not ready to go there with this.
Yeah, these are like guys. Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's worth talking about a little bit. I mean,
the JQ stuff.
No, but just like how people fall into this kind of thinking, right?
Yeah. I mean,
because the Holocaust is very well documented, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless. Now, hold on a second.
Come on.
No, I'm not going to do that.
No.
But yeah, no, I mean.
But people will say that they'll be like, once you see this stuff, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jewish girl hasn't texted me back. Wait a minute. Jake, wait. Did 6 million really die?
Of course they did.
Yes.
I think more died. That's always my stance. I go, probably way more. I go, thank you.
Yeah.
Go, you're welcome.
Yeah.
The actual number's probably like 4.5 million. But
come on, Sean.
No, I mean, like, Christopher Hitchens would talk about this.
Yeah.
It's we only have rough estimates.
Hitchens, like, why does he have to always make people angry at him? Yeah, Hitchens would go on Maher, right? He would always like out sass Bill Maher's sassy ass.
Yeah,
yeah.
Maybe it's a little. It's like the way they go, like, this is the worst stomach ache I've ever had. It's like that.
Like,
I mean, it was like 5 to 6 million. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Sean, it was 6 million.
No more, no less.
Aaron Berg's like, what are you guys talking about?
But yeah, I mean, it's like,
I love podcasting.
It's so great.
Just on YouTube forever.
Yeah, like what? We're screwed.
As soon as you get any career success, it's just there waiting for you.
Yeah. Patreon.com/outforsmokes.
That's right.
No, but it is important to we don't know that much.
Hey, Ben Shapiro.
All I'm saying, no, but
any comment on your faggot army raping people in the ass?
No, but I'm saying, like, all that it took for me was to meet this one very lovely Jewish couple that came to my show and said, we heard you on Matt Leck's podcast, and we were brought up very Zionist, and now we're anti-Zionist. And I said, oh, okay, cool. I don't hate these people.
No, I mean,
they're not lying about the numbers. And I don't even, who gives a shit about numbers? Hey, if even one Jewish person gets killed in a gas chamber, that's too many.
One Jewish person is equivalent to 6 million regular people, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah. Their lives are worth way more.
Yeah, they're worth more. This has been established.
Didn't some guy tweet that? He was like, no, in the Jewish state, the rape of a Jewish woman is worse. He's like, do you want us in the sea?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, they don't believe raping goyim counts, basically.
Who doesn't believe that? Some of them.
Well, in the case of Israelis, the majority of them believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the thing. Yes, you have to separate particular secular American Jews from Israelis.
But if I was Jewish, I would probably feel that way a little bit. Like I would have an ego.
It doesn't. You can rape.
No, I wouldn't feel that I could. Why would you put words in my mouth?
Well, what were you answering?
I'm saying if I was Jewish
Uh-huh.
and they tried to exterminate my people throughout history,
Sure.
and I was like, but we still survived, and I'm smarter than you, and I make more money, I would have a little bit of ego about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with Jewish people thinking they're better than me.
Yeah,
because maybe they are in some ways, you know. But when they need their furniture moved, you know who they call.
it's kind of funny to
But I'm saying
all have upset stomachs and Tay-Sachs disease and think you're the master race. Just like completely fucked up digestive system.
I think you need to calm down a little bit. Patreon.com/outforsmokes, everybody.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. No, I it's obviously it's absurd, the JQ stuff. And
absurd.
I think it's a testament actually that there really isn't that much anti-Semitism, even though it's being pushed on X/Twitter, you know, and Jake Shields and Nick Fuentes and all these guys are being platformed again. But it's just not really catching on because I don't think there's much.
Jake Shields does follow me.
He does follow you. That's so great. It's not really catching on. I don't think it ever really had much purchase in America. It's got a long history in Europe, of course.
Yeah.
But the point is, Israeli society is, I mean, it's the most evil nation on the face of the earth right now, committing the worst crime of the 21st century. And still the New York Post just has to make up anti-Semitic incidents because there's just not really that many or any at all.
Yeah, miss me with it.
Yeah, and it's just like the entire worldview of Nazism was like, yeah, they invaded the Soviet Union because they thought it was like run by Jews and didn't work at all.
Yeah.
And communism and capitalism were both all controlled by Jewish people. And then it's like, no, they made a bunch more tanks than you.
Yeah.
And you all had to kill yourselves because you just get you get these ideas about how the world works that are completely absurd and lead you to disaster, like invading the Soviet Union.
And I saw a video of Alana Glazer in a bathing suit this week, and I sent it to my group chat. I said, I'm going to jack off to this later. I mean, there's a lot of Jewish women that I would, if I wasn't happily married. There's a lot of Jewish women I would love to, Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about because we can't fix other people's countries, but maybe we can fix our countries. I found this article in Al Jazeera, and it says Israel is no longer the junior partner in Hamas war. Senior partner, junior partner? It must be junior partner. In 2023, a few months before the start of the current Israel-Gaza conflagration, renowned American scholar Noam Chomsky was asked about the state of the relationship between the United States and Israel. Chomsky indicated that a shift is taking place. It's the first time the confrontation has been this clear, and it's not clear how the United States will respond. Israel's current war on Gaza has now revealed what the U.S. response would be to Israeli intransigence, acquiescence. Rather than use its considerable leverage to force Israeli compliance with American positions, President Joe Biden's administration has consistently yielded to Israel. This response not only is encouraging perceptions abroad of America's weakness, but it could also have damaging repercussions for its internal affairs and even democracy. I have to say I've been really frustrated by the stuff that I remember a couple weeks right after October 7th, Biden went over to Israel and hugs Netanyahu and is like just kind of,
and then
shuffling around.
Netanyahu's security put shields up and they started anally raping him.
And they started anally raping Joe Biden. And he said, I don't know if you can do that again. I don't know if you're allowed to do that. And Netanyahu said, shut up, pussy. Okay.
What if Ben Shapiro's like to paper like, actually, it's not gay if you're the one doing the raping.
Yeah.
It's only gay to catch, not to pitch.
Like, it's fine for Israel to fuck your ass. Israel fucked my ass. They surrounded me with shields, and they said, this is for the beheaded babies, and those are real too, Jack.
You ever get like kind of jealous of like that Israeli guy who has that wife who defends him anally raping prisoners? Like just to have your wife stand by you that much. Mm-hmm. Like your wife probably wouldn't stand by you if you started.
No, but my wife holds me to a higher standard than that, I think, and I think that's good. So no, I'm not jealous of the woman who supports her husband raping prisoners.
But that's like really ride or die stuff. I mean, that's the kind of loyalty.
Yeah. No, I would not. I would prefer if my wife, like I said, not supported me through that. Yeah.
Okay.
However, there is mounting evidence that Israel has consistently disregarded U.S. government positions, advice, and concerns about its war conduct. This has repeatedly forced the Biden administration to shift its positions and rhetoric to be more in line with Israel's. A case in point is the Biden administration's December push to get Israel to wrap up major combat operations in Gaza, which the Israeli government ignored. Embarrassed by images of Palestinian civilian casualties, Biden said on December 12th that Israel's bombing of Gaza seemed, quote, indiscriminate. On December 14th, Biden called on the Israeli military to, quote, save civilian lives and be more careful in carrying out attacks. On December 18th, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin urged Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant to be more surgical in his attacks on Gaza, move to a lower intensity phase of war, and reduce harm to civilians. But Israel's immediate response was to intensify attacks on civilian areas. For example, on December 14th, at least 179 Palestinians were killed, including dozens of members of two families whose homes the Israeli army bombed. Dozens of Palestinians were also killed on December 15th, including more than 30 people sheltering in a United Nations school in Khan Yunis. Similarly, large casualty numbers were reported through the rest of December. And I think it's interesting. You hear stories about like just other administrations, like the Bush administration and Ronald Reagan, just being like Nixon, being like, "You gotta stop raping the prisoners," right?
Yeah.
Because what I heard is when they invaded Lebanon in 1982, Reagan called Menachem Begin and said, "You guys got to chill," and then Begin like hung up on him, and then he called them back. He's like, I'm sorry."
Yeah, Reagan actually compared what they were doing to the Holocaust in Lebanon in the 80s. And what they're doing now, or what they did in the 80s to Lebanon, it's nothing compared to what they're doing now.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. And, yeah, I mean, the U.S. political system has, in the last 40 years, been completely captured by Israel and the Israel lobby. Mm-hmm. And not just the political system, Hollywood, all these fucking phonies won't say shit about this.
Yeah. Now, do you think that's
the media, news media?
Do you think in any way it's like a personal thing where people are just kind of afraid of confrontation?
I think people are self-interested and trying to advance their own careers, so everybody kind of shuts up and goes along with it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, at least short run, if you want to work, you have to either be silent or neutral on Israel. Mm-hmm.
Well, not us.
No.
We just got our biggest Patreon parent so far to date. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, another thing about self-interest, though, is like they are just interested in themselves, and so they're not interested in this. Like a lot of comics, they don't understand why we're talking about it because it's like, that sounds boring and done. Like it's not a matter even of like morality to them. It's like, that's a boring subject. Why would I talk about that? Mm-hmm. It's absurd the way people view it. It's like way worse than we even think.
I want to get on stage in Bushwick and talk about eating ass.
Like I do think it's not like
you know why? Because
it's not like you're scared to say something. It's like no, they don't want to say something because to them that's not what they like to talk about. They actually think it's of no interest to the world.
Because they're degenerates who use Islam.
Yeah, so it's all, I went to the bar and tried to finger a girl.
Yeah.
And it was my 41st birthday Tuesday. That's every comedian's act now.
Yeah. And my roommates let me sleep in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I know. I am finding myself kind of disgusted with the world of comedy.
Yeah.
Feeling like I don't even want a part of it. Or if I have to play ball with these people, I want nothing to do with it.
You know, it's just kind of horrifying because it's like, okay, it's been going on 10 months now, Israel and Gaza.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of attention on it for the first few months. And it's just as bad as it has ever been.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just kind of terrifying to see how it's just erased from the public consciousness of the Western world. People are like, oh, that's over, that's done. Or, you know, everybody's excited about Kamala and, you know, the new vice president.
You saw the protester interrupting her?
Right, yeah, I'm speaking.
Yeah. And everyone was like, she is her. Look at she being her.
Right.
Well, because I feel like I hate this country because I don't like all the conservative like hogs that are just kind of complacent and, you know.
Sure.
But then I'm like, okay, but all these other people who are cheering on Kamala for stuff like that, they're piggies too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're just a nation of like selfish little piggies.
Yeah.
And this idea that you're privileged if you care about this stuff is like so crazy.
Care about Gaza?
People go, yeah.
Oh, they say that. That's great.
Well,
Yeah,
you're
people
privileged.
accuse me of virtue signaling.
Yeah.
It's like, I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck. I just want the killing to stop.
But it's like, you shouldn't let anybody tell you that because it's like, no, if you don't have to think about these people, you're privileged.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention, you have the privilege of looking away from it for some reason. You know? Go ahead, take your hormones and whatever you have to do. I don't know. Get your abortions. Get your 8th abortion and change your gender, you know, if that's all that's on your mind. Because I'm thinking about those beautiful little Arab children, you piece of shit. You selfish piece of shit.
It is like, there's just an evil to it that's really not on the scale of anything else in the 21st century, where it's, you know, of course there have been, you know, Iraq war or all sorts of crimes, genocide, whatever, but there's just something about, you know, these people in Gaza were in prison, like a 5 mile by 20 mile prison for their entire lives. And then we're going to close the prison and we're going to kill everyone in the prison. And they've got nowhere to run to. And we're going to kill every man, woman, and child in the prison. We're going to do it slowly over 10 months.
Burn them alive.
Yeah. It'd take like, 30, 40 years to rebuild Gaza already?
Really?
That's just to rebuild it.
Yeah.
And
Who's going to pay for that?
Nobody, you know. It's unlivable. They made it unlivable.
Yeah.
And just to do all that with the complete enthusiasm of the, you know, rule-based international order, the liberal world order, the human rights organizations that make up, you know, the NATO soft power alliance, just everybody who's been saying all this bullshit about, oh, we have to overthrow Saddam, we have to overthrow Gaddafi, we have to overthrow Assad because of human rights violations, and we don't care about, we just care about human rights. They all shut the fuck up when the worst crime of the 21st century is happening. Or if they didn't shut the fuck up, they, you know, got replaced, got silenced, got, you know, shuffled out of their formerly prominent positions. And so, yeah, it's just, it just makes me kind of crazy because a lot of people, I think, don't know really the scale of what's happening and what has been happening. And just to see it totally erased and everybody be like, whoa, Tim Walz, leftists are back.
Yeah.
Progressivism. You know, everybody's excited to be a Democrat again.
Well, I mean, that's good then. I mean, they should win. Then they should, I mean, right? Like, if that's the calculation that they're making, then they shouldn't need our votes, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I'm just kind of like really burnt out on the illusion of bourgeois democracy.
Well, our votes don't really count because we live in New York
we live
State.
in New York. It doesn't matter.
But I guess I feel like if I did live in a swing state, maybe like I would, if she was a little bit better on this stuff, I might just go ahead and vote for her.
Kamala?
Yeah. But it doesn't seem like anybody is. It doesn't seem like mainstream people are kind of holding their feet to the fire. Why can't people just pretend to just pretend to say I'm not voting? I'm not voting unless you make a statement on this.
Oh, I know.
Or you
Yeah,
change-
just
or you
like
change
hold,
course a
yeah,
little.
like stand our ground a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we should
Why are we such
at
a
least
tough-
fib to them, like you
Yeah.
know, and go, we're
I'm
not
gonna vote
doing
for you.
it,
I'm
and
not
see
doing
what
it.
happens.
See what happens.
Yeah, You know, I think on some level that is obviously happening on the left, and like a little level. And you go, is she gonna budge on it though? Like, is it enough that she's gonna take a bigger stance? Mm-hmm. And you saw Trump's stance, right? He did a little like press conference at Mar-a-Lago today, and he was just saying how, you know, Kamala doesn't want to give Israel any more weapons, and she's been bad to the Jews. He said, if you're a Jew and don't vote for me, you got to get your head checked. This is what Donald Trump said today. So he's a fucking moron who's, I mean, this guy almost died in one of like the most, whoa, holy shit moments.
Yeah.
And it's... One, the news doesn't talk about it, so there's that. But also, he has ruined it by being the lamest motherfucker every day since he's been shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, people should do whatever they want. It doesn't really matter.
I do want to read this too from this article because I thought this was interesting. I didn't follow that whole thing about the pier. I mean, I heard little snippets of it here and there. Mm-hmm. But so it says, throughout the 10 months of the war, Israel has systematically ignored U.S. demands that it increase the supply of humanitarian aid to Palestinian civilians. Worse still, it has actively pursued a clear policy of forced starvation of Palestinian civilians. Unable to persuade Israel to open essential land crossings and perhaps hoping to distract from the humanitarian catastrophe, the Biden administration decided to send its own military personnel to build a $320 million makeshift pier off the coast of Gaza.
Yep.
The pier, which was criticized as grossly insufficient for aid delivery, wouldn't have come close to meeting Gaza's needs even if it had been fully functional. Weeks after it was installed, the pier had to be removed because it kept breaking apart.
Yeah. What, they spent like $50 million on that or something? Or
it said $320 million.
Jesus Christ.
Why are we so...
And it's like...
To build a pier?
Yeah, and they didn't even have to do... What they had to do was just tell Israel, hey, you have to let aid in. Let's just go through the routes that Israel controls.
Yeah.
And they just wouldn't do that. And again, all it takes is picking up the phone and saying, hey, the weapons stop if you don't take this peace deal or something.
Yeah.
But none of them can do that because the Israel lobby completely controls the money in Congress and, you know, Hollywood and the media, and there would be a firestorm. And, you know, like funding for Democrats would dry up. They would all, like AIPAC just unseated Cory Bush.
Yeah.
You know, in the primary. They have so much money. All these Democrats are afraid of them. And it's mainly the money that the Israel lobby kind of controls U.S. politics with, because U.S. politics runs on money. But there is also blackmail. Yeah, I absolutely believe. You know, Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli agent. Mm-hmm. That's why he was here. He was here to make sure everybody stays on side during times like this.
And so maybe they weren't doing that in the 70s and 80s, and there was more of a... Because it doesn't make sense that we're so cucked.
Yeah. No, I think it definitely deepened over time.
Yeah. I mean, this is like if your girlfriend's drunk and she assaults like a Waffle House employee, and then you take her home and like make her a milkshake. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, we'll just build a pier. We'll just build a pier to get humanitarian aid. That's what's so crazy.
It's so evil. Like, that's the thing. Like, again, people talk about, oh, Joe Biden's such a nice man. This is the most evil thing a U.S. president has done in my lifetime. This is worse than the Iraq. Well, I mean, you know, you hate to make the comparison, but again, the Iraq war, like, it was evil. And by the way, the Iraq war was done for Israel. That's like a very interesting point, and the most controversial point of the Israel lobby book is they go through how AIPAC and Benjamin Netanyahu and others lobbied Congress so hard to get the votes for the Iraq war. Mm-hmm. And this kind of goes back...
Like, don't say it was our idea, though. It's more for you.
It goes back to this strategy paper published in, I think, 96, in the 90s, called A Clean Break, which talked about, you know, goals of Israeli policy in the Middle East. And they talked about the importance of destroying the state of Iraq. That's, you know... like Saddam Hussein, whatever you want to think about him, that was a functional state, with a pretty powerful state.
Pretty good health care.
Pretty good health care. You know, people there.
I mean, it wasn't a good state if Uday Hussein
liked
saw
your daughter.
You liked your daughter.
Yeah. That, you know, again, dictatorship, blah, 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 abusive, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But who the fuck? They're lowering the age of marriage in Iraq as of today from 15 to 9 years old.
Okay.
This is a failed state. And what happened was, you know, Paul Bremer, I used to think, oh, this guy's so stupid. What did they think that if they fired everybody in the Iraqi army And then, of course, they create an insurgency. Didn't they realize that if they fire everybody in the army and the police and turn them all loose, all these unemployed people with guns and military training, did they not realize? They knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
The entire point was Iraq was a functional, stable state. And Israel would be having a lot more difficulty committing genocide if Iraq was still a functional, stable state with a decent military and Scud missiles, capability of projecting force, academics, intellectuals. There's this great book, Cultural Cleansing of Iraq, and it talks about, shortly after the invasion, all sorts of academics in Iraq start getting killed, like just intellectuals, They just get murdered by random gangs, probably linked to the government. We don't know, but you just kill a few of them, the rest leave. And it's exactly what the fucking Nazis did in Poland, too. They just went in and they started murdering all the intellectuals. Because the entire idea the Nazis had with Poland was they don't need more than like an elementary school education. They're just going to be slaves for the German master race. And essentially, the same thing was, obviously to a much less horrific and brutal scale. But the same.
And then they made jokes about how we're stupid?
Polish people,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sometimes people do get mad because it's like, yeah, there is a particular Nazi-based racial history on Polish people are stupid jokes.
Yeah.
If you want to read into it.
Okay.
But anyways, the point is destroying a state. Like,
did you hear the one about the Polish guy who locked his keys in his car?
He had to ask his family to unlock it. Oh, no, what is it?
He had to use a coat hanger to get his family out.
There you go.
I might have said that joke.
You probably said it before, yeah.
But we got new people here. So.
Yeah. But anyways, look, the point is Israel's genocide in Gaza, it's proceeding a lot more smoothly because Iraq can't do shit about it, because Iraq is a failed state now because of the U.S. invasion. This was like a long-term plan. They had a long-term strategy, and it paid off. Iran is still functional, but they're farther away, and it's not like there's multiple strong states to stop them. Mm-hmm. There's Hezbollah is not a state; they're a non-state actor. And the Houthis are not a state; they're a non-state actor. And then there's Iran, and that's about it.
Now, if our hero Saddam Hussein was never overthrown, what does that look like?
Well, he's probably launching Scuds at Israel right now. That's what he did during the Persian Gulf War. Mm-hmm. And he's certainly providing, military and financial assistance to Hamas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like these sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, maybe even setting aside differences with Iran, These sorts of things are all very possible.
Yeah.
It's just the goal of Israeli strategy was to destroy any state in the Middle East that might be an obstacle for them and the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's hard to wrap your head around because you're like, why destabilizing the Middle East is not something I would ever be in a position to do.
Yeah, but, and it's just like, the Iraq War, what was so evil about it is you collapse the civil society and you set off a civil war, and 500,000 to 1 million people, possibly more than 1 million, died in the Iraq War. But it's like most of those killings were not like directly killed by U.S. soldiers. They were just, hey, we removed all the police and military and then set off a civil war, and you guys all kill each other, and that's evil. But I guess there's I don't know, there's something less visceral about it, than just killing every man, woman, and child in a prison the size of Manhattan.
Right.
Indiscriminately, in full view of the world with video cameras, and then raping people, detainees, and then having, January 6th for your right to rape. I mean, it's just like very sick, very evil stuff. And it's, it just disturbs me seeing it kind of disappear from public consciousness here. You can just kind of sweep it under the rug and it'll keep going, but it'll fade into background noise and become, the 7th or 8th news story.
Yeah, people prefer gossip over stories like this.
Yeah, well, patreon.com/outforsmokes. You can hear what's going on in our personal lives.
Yeah, that hot gossip.
We'll do a little lighter episode. But yeah, so this is a good article from Al Jazeera. It's about Israel being the U.S. appears to be the junior partner in the U.S.-Israel relationship. If the U.S. goes to war, now we're on the verge of a regional war. If the U.S. goes to war, it will be doing so not because it needs to or wants to. It will be doing so on Israel's behalf. It would be fitting, but unfortunate to end almost a full year of acquiescing to Israel. When the dust from the Gaza war settles, the U.S. will be seen as complicit in genocide, the crime of crimes, and America's global standing will be severely compromised.
On behalf of Israel.
Yeah. I mean, let's hope. I mean, nothing stays the same forever, right? Yeah, that's what's crazy. Why can't we tell them to chill?
Well, perhaps this author would like some people in my Twitter replies who give some suggestions about further readings regarding the JQ, as it is commonly known.
Yeah, I think it's like we did ask them to chill, and they said no. And so we said, oh, okay. Yeah. I think they told us no, right? I mean, Netanyahu told Biden to go fuck himself, right? Like, they've just been saying no. Isn't the rumor that he laughed at Kamala when she brought up a possible ceasefire when he was here like a week ago? So, yeah, they just don't care. Yeah. It's like he knows that he has them by the balls.
Yeah. I mean, they run more espionage operations against the U.S. than any other ally. And so I think they have, good intelligence here. I think they know they have captured the political system, and they know which people are blackmailed and which ones they have to keep away from power. Yeah. So.
But now let me ask you this, because I listen to that guy Richard Medhurst sometimes, and I do like that he seems kind of optimistic about the situation, and he does sort of talk about how like this can't really hold. Like Israel's economy might be collapsing. Like people don't want to do business with them. Like people are fleeing, and so is there any optimism there that it might in some way work itself out, even though that's like, it feels weird to say that because there's been so much bloodshed and there will be so much more.
I think, Israel's in a very weak position, but what worries me is like all this U.S. acquiescence we've seen, like how do we stop the United States from bailing Israel out? Because what's going to happen is we're still waiting as this recording on, Iran, Hezbollah retaliation for assassinating the Hamas chief in Iran. And Israel would probably use whatever they do as an excuse to like really ramp, probably invade Lebanon. I mean, I don't know, but it's just if Israel starts a war with Hezbollah and Iran, a full-scale war, I think they would lose. But the entire plan, as far as I can tell, the only plan the Israelis have is let's drag the United States into this. And I just don't understand where the point comes, and I keep hoping to see it, where the point comes where the U.S. security establishment, the deep state, whatever, finally thinks it's worth cutting Israel loose, but it just seems that the blackmail and the capture is so deep that I don't know if that can ever happen.
Because haven't other presidents tried to normalize relationships with, like, Iran and Egypt? And I mean, why do they have to be our ally? Why can't we just get rid of them and then we'll find a new ally?
Yeah, no, that's the whole point of the Israel lobby book, is they talk about
it's not even beneficial to
rapprochement with Syria and Iran. It was all scuttled by the Israel lobby, like various presidents like Clinton and Obama, have tried at various levels. The point is, even from a cynical U.S. interest, you could get the job done with other Arab client states. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's the Jewish community in America. They had a lot of money, they were very powerful, and they promoted Israel for a while. And I think at some point it became like a Frankenstein monster, where it was still like a manageable lobby, a manageable ally in the 60s, 70s, 80s. But I think as the U.S. political system became completely corrupted, and you can just spend infinite money in a super PAC now, I think Congress is so dependent on money, and there's so much money on the side of the Israeli cause that, and not just from, Jewish people or the Israel lobby traditionally, the entire defense establishment is so invested in this, Northrop Grumman, everybody who can sell weapons, they love Israel. They love this thing that always creates wars. So I think there's just so much money on the other side now that you have to break through the indifference of the U.S. public, which maybe the United States getting into war would actually push people, because it's like, it is impressive the amount of protest you've seen in the United States, considering U.S. troops aren't there. We're not being drafted, blah, blah, blah. So hopefully, if this plan of Israel trying to drag the U.S. into war, hopefully that would spark off, a powder keg here and actually get enough people in the streets that we could stop the United States from being dragged into war on behalf of Israel, and then Israel would be destroyed, and, that we would have to pick a new rape capital of the world.
Mm-hmm. Are you optimistic?
Well, it just seems like so much damage has been done. So I go optimistic, like that it ends. I mean, I just don't know where the optimism comes from.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm optimistic in terms of like, I think it will end someday, but no, not even in the next year. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
History is just full of dead kids, I guess, huh?
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, before we close out, we do want to say a big congratulations to friend of the show, Yahya Sinwar, who is now the leader of Hamas. Congrats. You hung in there. You spent 20 years in an Israeli prison, and now you're finally, it's like, you're kind of like the Mike Recine of Islamic resistance, finally getting what you deserve. Hezbollah released a statement. They said, selecting brother Yahya Sinwar from the heart of the besieged Gaza Strip, who is present the front lines with resistance fighters and between the children of his people under the rubble, blockade, killings, and starvation, reasserts that the goals the enemy is seeking by killing leaders have failed, the group said in a statement. So I guess Hania was sort of the head of the negotiations.
Right. Yeah,
right?
They killed the political head of Hamas,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, they don't want a fucking ceasefire.
No.
Not at all. Then you wouldn't kill the chief negotiator if you wanted a fucking ceasefire.
Yeah. But what they're saying is this kind of does send a message to Israel because they think Sinwar was the architect of the October 7th attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're saying is like, yeah, we know what we know you don't want to negotiate. Yes, there is no negotiating with you.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're committed to what they're doing.
It is nice to remember there are good people in the world.
There's good people in
such
the
as
world.
Hamas and Hezbollah, and the Iranian Republican Guard. Or is it the Iranian Revolutionary Guard?
Yeah.
Iraq had the Republican Guard.
So somebody sent me this article and I thought it was really interesting because this guy and it was a good article, but this guy was trying to sort of like intellectualize, the past 10 months or whatever. And he was saying that like, Jewish people understandably were traumatized by October 7th because it was this, this mass killing of Jews. And then he also tried to say that, Hamas leadership doesn't always have the interest of its people at hand because they're more like ruthless. They're more like strategists and what's the word? But he compared them to Netanyahu in that way. Mm-hmm. And he said they failed to protect their people. But my takeaway from that article was that, like, people got to stop intellectualizing all this stuff and have some empathy for the Palestinian people who are the ones suffering.
Yeah, anything that comes out of there, you have to treat it like it's a revolt, right? And so you go, oh, Hamas, look at all the bad things they do. But it's like, yeah, but it's a revolt. Everybody there is fighting an oppressor, and until we get rid of the oppressor, then we can start judging like how they're running shit. But how do you judge not a country?
It feels silly to like.
It's silly, yeah.
To criticize the resistance is like kind of silly.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I don't want to compare them to like an abused child in the way that like abused child sometimes don't act right, but you don't like yell at the kid who's got shit covered, you go, hey, why are you covered in shit? Like what's going on?
Who did this to you?
Yeah, that's what the situation is. It's they can't even be an adult like state because there's something ruining everything.
Because there's this tendency with like these media people to kind of like, I don't know, to like play peacemaker or to like intellectualize and make everything, kind of be like fair,
Yeah.
But you can't criticize a slave revolt. You can't criticize ghetto uprising, the Warsaw Ghetto uprising or whatever. So yeah, I just I don't think any criticism of them really is legitimate.
No.
I can criticize the Warsaw Ghetto uprising.
Get it.
Well, I've been reading these articles about the JQ.
But it's like you keep going back.
Sean's been talking to a girl.
Yeah.
Is what's really happening. Who's interested in this stuff?
He's got this impulse to like self-sabotage. Worse than you, I think.
Me? I don't say nothing. I self-sabotage by not going outside. There's a difference.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's it. Congrats to our boy. And so it's almost like what they're saying is, okay, well, if you don't want to negotiate with Hania, then you can negotiate with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So good for them. We love what you're doing.
Yeah. Shout out to the Axis of Resistance.
The Axis of Resistance. We knew from the beginning that you didn't
rape anybody.
You didn't rape anybody.
Yeah, that's the fucked up,
Yeah.
The Israelis are actually raping after they spread all these fake rape stories.
Yeah.
And nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck. That's the thing, too. Well, that's the thing. It's like everybody that was in your DMs being like, they're raping women and parading through the streets. If you sent them this, they wouldn't even like...
No.
They wouldn't even care.
They don't.
They'd be like, that's not... I don't know those people. Yeah. So anyway, the Out for Smokes podcast will be absolved. They're going to throw a lot of dust on our graves, but the winds of history will remove it. Thank you guys.
That's what Stalin said, right?
That's what Stalin said, yeah. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it. Patreon.com/OutForSmokes. Get your Out for Smokes t-shirts, OFS shirts at gmail.com to place your order, and I will send those out to you. And enjoy your weekend. God bless. Bye-bye.